Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into another awesome episode of StreamerGenics. We have an amazing guest tonight. Stark89 is in Discord studio. He's going to tell you what it's like to be a law enforcement officer in today's political climate and what it's like to be a streamer in today's tough world in the media aspect of things. So we're going to dive right in and show you what it's like. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of StreamerGenics. I'm your host, Alexander, and today in Discord studio, we have the one and only Stark89. He is a law enforcement officer and streamer, husband, and father. So today we're going to be diving into what it's like to be a man with this kind of profession. An African-American man, today's climate, politically, and what they go up against when it comes to being in a very public theater in streaming as well, and gaming and things like that. And I know it's a very, very involved subject in today's world. So we're definitely going to dive into that and see what kind of things he's faced and how he's overcome things and how he's still keeping up the good fight. So, Stark, I wanted to say thank you for coming on to the show today.
Yeah, thanks again for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. We're just going to dive right in, guys. How did you first get started as a LEO, and what inspired you to pursue a career in law enforcement?
Well, coming out of high school, I was in auto tech. I thought I was gonna be a mechanic. Started working at Jiffy Lube, changing oils and everything like that.
I didn't know
out of high
that.
school.
I didn't know
No,
that.
yeah, I had no clue what I wanted to do. This was not something that I was, wanted, that I had a passion for as a kid or anything like that. I had no clue coming out of college what I wanted to do. So
Wow.
I was taking auto tech as an electoral class. I got certified at in automotive technology. So my plan was to get out of high school, get some experience. Maybe we work for, maybe like a dealership or like Dodge or something like that. So I was working at Jiffy Lube at 19 years old, and I was getting kind of boring. My buddy was like, "Hey, do you want to go do security at it was a water park named Geauga Lake? It's real famous up here. It's not around anymore, but." And I says, "Yeah." I says, "Doing security." I says, "We stand around, we watch half naked women in bikinis all day." I says,
Can't
"Why
beat
not? That
that,
sounds
right?
pretty fun." Yeah. So did that for 2 seasons, and while working there, uh, a lot of off-duty deputy sheriffs and police officers were there too. They would work as a side job, making extra money or whatnot, and we worked side by side with them. And I got to hear the stories, hear their experiences, what they loved about it. They come in with their cars and everything like that, and me working close hand in hand with them. It kind of piqued my interest, but I wasn't 100% sure yet.
Mhm.
Fast forward to after my 2 seasons, I started to get into loss prevention. I get into loss prevention. Probably about maybe a year and a half. I caught like countless people, and law enforcement was always there to clean up and appreciate me for my work and everything like that. And I was like, okay, I think I may have a passion for what I wanted to do. Still wasn't 100% sold on it yet.
Okay.
Now I'm 22. I'm about 22 years old now. I'm old enough to carry a weapon. So I started getting into armed security. And then I was like, okay, I think this is really what I want to do. So I did that for about a year and a half, and about 23, a little bit after my 23rd birthday, I went to the police academy. Um, Went to the police academy. That was about 8.5 months. Got out, graduated from the academy. I got hired by a really small township out in Ohio, northern Ohio, and that's when I really started piecing together. Like, yeah, this is something that I want to do. Worked at the small township for maybe about a year, and then I got called up to the big leagues maybe about a year later, and I've been here ever since.
Awesome. Great, man. That's an awesome story. So you got your law enforcement certification before the academy, is that right?
Yeah, so there's two ways you could go about it in law enforcement. You can either uh, apply to a city, and that city will sponsor you. Normally, you only hear from bigger cities, metropolitan cities. You apply, you take a civil service exam. They select you. They interview. They interview you. They select you. They put you through the academy. You're already hired for the police department. You just have to do training. Um, but back then, when law enforcement was more of an ideal job for the public
Mhm.
compared to now,
Yeah.
it was kind of hard to get into. It was
Right.
it was quite a long line to get into. So it was either that route, or you could go and get certified yourself. So you would go through a college, is what I
Right.
went through. I went through a college. And if you go to colleges, they have a lot of trades in colleges, where you do auto tech, you want to do body work, cosmetology, you want to be pharmacy tech, anything like that. and the college that I went to also had the option for police academy.
Wow.
So you pay your tuition. They had financial aid, which is what I went through, and I got through, and I got myself certified as a police officer. So once I did that, you can just now you have the certification. Now you just go apply to police departments,
And
and
people
that's
don't
the route that I took.
and people don't realize that even though you got a LEC
Hmm.
and you've applied to academies and all that stuff,
Hmm.
you still have to get hired by a police department. So you
You
still
still got
have
to
to
get
go
hired.
through the
Yeah.
screening. You still have to go
Yep.
through the
The screening, it is
polygraph,
it is definitely a
all that.
rigorous pre-hire, no question about it. It takes months. It's not something that you can just walk in the door, go apply, and then you get
Right.
hired. It takes months.
And you got to be of sound body mind,
Absolutely.
and every state's different, so they have different requirements, right? So
Absolutely. Every state is different. Uh, every state is different, but like for the general part, they're mostly the same. But certain states may have a small less of a requirement than other states.
right.
And I think one of the biggest ones is like physical agility. Ohio's a tough state. They want you to be physically in shape. And if I don't know if most of the southern states, because like the physical agility, for example, you have to do the push-ups, the sit-ups, the mile and a half run. Um, they have a certain standard for your gender and your age, how many you have to do it, and then you have to do this amount in this amount of time. Um, when I was going, we had to do a mile and a half run in just under 12 minutes. That
Wow.
was the standard in Ohio if you were under 30. Whereas now, or in other states, for example, Georgia, not too long ago, I had applied to try to go to Georgia. They give you maybe like 17 minutes. So that's just
That,
slight differences. They give you more time down there. But like I said, that's the South. Maybe it's
well,
a South thing. I don't know.
most of us down here are a little bit soggy around the midsection. We
Just a
got a lot
little
of
bit,
fried
just a
food
little bit.
places
But
around here,
just
man.
just small differences like that, and some differences with the background too, because states up here, they want you to have a decent credit score. They do a
Yeah.
financial hit they
Okay.
do a financial history check, and the reason for them doing that is you're less likely to take a bribe
Right.
on the job. Of a guy
Exactly.
with bad credit will take a
Hmm.
bribe, will take any chance, anytime anytime he's around any type of money.
Exactly.
They say you're less likely, or you're more likely to take a bribe or take money on the job. If you have a bad financial history, if you owe a lot of debt and everything like that.
And
So
not to get off topic, folks, but
yeah.
the military is the same way when it comes to that aspect. If you want a security clearance, depending on the level of it, you will have to
Hmm.
get a credit check, like he's talking about. And if you're found to have bad credit, you're they're not saying you're going to take a bribe, but you might be a type of person that might be more likely to take a bribe.
Absolutely.
So they're going to be like,
Hmm.
ugh. So that's
Yeah.
just another thing that not a lot of people understand and know about.
Hmm.
So I'm glad that you touched on that about all this here because it eliminated a couple of questions. So that's
Yeah.
great. So we're gonna get into the like a little bit of the political climate of this.
Okay.
So here's the next question. In recent years, there has been increased scrutiny and public debate regarding the use of force by law enforcement officers.
Hmm.
How has this affected your approach to your job and the way you interact with the community?
It's affected it a little bit. Just the politics of it.
Right.
Now you got all these individuals with no, law enforcement experience, having say so over your job, and that's become a bit frustrating. It makes it a little bit harder to do my job the way that I used to do it. Not a lot, but just a
Right.
little bit. The way you have to approach things. Um, our department, we have what's something that was voted by the city council was called Issue 24. Issue 24 is a civilian law enforcement review board.
Wow.
These are individuals who have no law enforcement background at all. These guys aren't
Is that
police. These guys,
like auxiliary or something? Or
no, not even that. This is just a civilian review board.
wow.
So, they review body cam, they review,
Ooh, no, know that.
mostly body cam, and these individuals who, like I said, have no experience of the job telling you, yes, you did this right, yes, you did this wrong. You should be let go, and that's kind of made the job a lot tougher. And that's also like brought down numbers
Oh, I'm sure.
with this department, because you just have people who have no idea how to do their job. They're telling you how to do your job. And that's just, no one wants to be a part of that.
So, say you're a law enforcement officer underneath this board, and you're called in because you got dinged on something. Is there like an appeal process? Are you represented in any way, shape, or form? Is there any kind of
Normally,
liaison or
normally, if there's something, a little bit serious or something like that, you're normally represented by our union. We have our union lawyers and everything like
okay?
that. But
Wow, it's like a law enforcement tribunal
Yeah,
almost. It's so
yeah,
weird.
yeah.
Court
It's
martial.
not how it definitely not how it used to be.
Wow.
And it's not for the weak. It's only making the job even tougher.
Okay, I definitely understand. And I see, do you see, folks? We call this what it's like. It's a theme here because I didn't even know that,
Hmm.
and I've done a lot of research in law enforcement and things like that because I was interested in it at one point
Hmm.
in time in my life. So
Well,
I
not
didn't know
when
that.
then it goes. Like I said, not every agency is like this, but
True,
if you have these Democrat ran cities or these Democrat lawyers and everything like that, or not lawyers, but mayors.
sure.
It's the mayors. They're so to get elected, they'll say they'll defund the police, they'll remove the police, and that gets them the vote.
Yep.
And the first thing they want to do is turn on us.
Yep. Well, that's yeah.
So yeah, it just makes the job harder.
And also and attached to that, like you said earlier about folks not having any law enforcement experience. Now,
Hmm.
since it's so tough to retain, the attrition rate is probably really high in law enforcement in this country, right? Because of what's going on,
Hmm.
what's been going on for the last 5 or 6 years or whatever have
Oh
you.
yeah, the numbers are the numbers are they've never seen anything like this before. Prime example, there is an academy class coming up now that we have going on, and there's only 9 recruits.
Crazy. And how much is
Um,
it usually? Like in the peak
Usually,
time,
like
how
back
much was
when
it?
I joined, first of all, just the line to take the tests was anywhere between 1,500.
Wow. Jesus.
Yeah, that was just to take the test. And you get a rank, and they would only probably take the top 75 recruits. After going through the background process and everything like that. Normally classes would be about 75. They would normally have like 3 classes a year. And like I said, this current class that we have now, you can look it up. I kid you not, it's 9 recruits in our current
That is
class.
insane. And
Um,
that is
and
insane. And we could
yeah,
thank the
and
media for a lot of that shit too, right?
yeah, there's no question. And a lot of people just, you can go to a lot of these police department recruiting sites now, their Facebook pages and everything like that, and they'll say, "Hey, we're hiring.
Yep.
These are the incentives and everything like that." And you could read the comments, and everybody's just, no, we don't want to
Fuck
do that.
that. Yeah.
We don't. Yeah, that's all you
End up
see, and
on the
that kind of,
news for God
yeah,
knows what,
exactly.
canceled and
Well,
God
even
knows
then,
what.
you just, and then you have people who are just like anti-police sentiments. They'll put those in the comments, and that kind of just, scurries people away from even giving us, a thought about law
It's a
enforcement.
truly thankless job, man. It
No
really is.
question.
You get
There's no question.
fucked with,
And
spit on, and
then,
all that shit, probably, right?
just, like I said, there's a bad apple in every profession.
Absolutely.
But what they do is they paint everyone with the same brush in this profession.
True.
This one bad egg, we're gonna assume that you all are the same.
Right.
And the media does not help it at all.
Now, I don't know if I'm like going too crazy with this, but for me,
Hmm.
it's like, you know, it's almost as if like the media is trying to, like you said, paint everybody as the same brush. If one
Hmm.
fucks up,
Hmm.
it becomes a
Then
national
we're
fucking
all the same.
headline.
Yeah.
It's like
Hmm.
they treat you guys like a race of people. Like
Agreed.
but at the same time, that's not accurate, obviously.
No.
It's a melting pot like anything else,
Hmm. Yeah.
So,
And
but they treat like you all have the same fucking mentality, and it's ridiculous.
absolutely. And like I said, and kind of what you said, they treat us like our own race. But in addition to that as well, I work in a primarily, I don't know, I would say it's an even killed on race, but our department is primarily white. And but you go into these lower income neighborhoods and everything like that, and you have primarily white officers responding to these calls, and there's plenty of times where I've gone to calls in addition,
Mhm.
and you come out and you speak to these individuals, and they don't want to talk to the white officers. They'll look at me and go, "I want to talk to you."
Right.
And I'll go, listen, and the last thing I want to do is just try to separate myself from my coworkers. These, at the end of the day, these are the
Right.
individuals. I work with these individuals.
Mhm.
These are good men and women.
Right.
And they go out there and they say, well, I don't want to talk to him. I want to talk to you. And they
Right.
talk to me because, we're of the same race. And I don't want them thinking that way. I says, no, you can talk to him just as much as you can talk to me. So they try to divide us. That's what they try to do when we're out there in the field.
And that's what
Um,
my next question was going to be to you. Being an African American police officer in today's
mhm.
political climate's got to be tough because like
Oh,
you're just saying, they're going to want to
Oh,
relate to you because they
yeah,
think
yeah, and in most of these areas, I'm a race trader.
that's got to be really
I'm an
tough.
Uncle Tom.
I can't
I've
imagine what
I've
that's
heard
like.
it. Being in the job long enough, you're going to hear it to the point where it's rinse and repeat. Sure, okay. Um, They think that, because I'm an African American police officer, I'm just, I'm against all black people. But it's more so the lack of accountability in this field. It's not, they want to make it about race when it's really about accountability. You think that because I am of the same race as you, that you get to get off, I get to let you off. You don't get charged with this, or you can get away with this. And if I don't do it, if I do take you to jail, if I do hold you accountable for your actions, then I'm an Uncle Tom.
Right.
And it just, you hear that all the time, and it gets old. But like I said, if you've been in here long enough, if you're mentally tough enough to do the job, it doesn't affect you.
It doesn't. Okay. Well, I mean, at least, I mean, you got to have, like you're saying, you got to have that kind of thick skin. You got to be able to
Oh, then no
take that
question.
kind of shit.
This field is, like I said, it's not for the weak. You're gonna get called every name in the book. They're gonna wish death upon you. You're gonna wish death upon your family. They're gonna, try to find you on social media. Um, the whole nine. Somebody who, that's why a lot of police officers, if they do try to have any type of social life as far as like, social media, none of them use their real names. My name,
Wow. Right. Yeah.
example, I
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
have my
Yeah.
own name. You use
Gotcha.
a pseudonym
Yep.
because these individuals who you've arrested, the individuals who you've wrote a citation to, they will look you up. They'll try to look you up on Facebook, and they'll try to message you on Facebook. They'll try to, and go through your friends list and everything like that. They do that now.
That's insane, man.
Yeah, it is insane. So law enforcement is nowhere near how it used to be. You know, even 6 years ago. And it's just getting worse by the day.
Well, there are some good things, right? So,
There's absolutely, not to just
right.
draw a dark cloud on the profession. The job is still very rewarding. If somebody who really wants to be a police officer or be in this field, the job is extremely rewarding in and of itself. The joy I get from the children, the joy, I wouldn't say necessarily joy, but me being happy to assist somebody who needs help. um you should see these people, the calls that I get, and when I get there, they're so relieved that you're there because somebody's here who can figure it out, who can bring order to chaos, help them with any situation. If they're in some type of bond, if there's some type of distress, they're delirious, they don't really know what to do next, or how to handle the situation. So when they see you, they're so relieved to see you. Thank God somebody's here. This person is going to know what to do. This person is going to know the steps on what to do, and make everything better. So seeing that look upon people's face, that's always brought me joy, just helping those individuals out in need.
That's right. Because I mean,
Hmm.
no one goes into law enforcement for the money.
No, it's not. No,
You don't make a lot, you
no,
know?
you don't. If you don't, you don't come to this job don't with the mentality that you're going to get rich. That's not it.
Right. So your
Uh,
payment is obviously what you get financially compensated from the job, but also
yeah,
keeping your community together, safe,
absolutely,
all of those things. So
absolutely.
since you touched on that, what is there a moment in your career that's the most memorable, rewarding moment you've had while on the job?
The most memorable. That's
There's a
quite a
lot. There's
few.
a lot of
There's quite a
that's a good
few.
thing. That's a good thing.
Um, there's so many. I would probably say there was an individual, an elderly woman. Uh, this individual was choking on something. Don't know what. I can't really remember what. She attempted to drive herself to the hospital.
While choking.
Halfway while choking.
Holy shit.
Halfway there, she blacked out. She crashed.
Damn.
We get there. I'm the first one there. I see her slumped over the steering wheel. She's driving a newer car, so I grab my window punch. I have a window punch. Knock out the window, at least the back windows. I start there. This is a newer car, so these aren't the locks that you just pull up and you can just open the door.
Right.
Not on these newer cars. And I remember knocking the window out, and the EMS gets there, and we all get her out. I get the window open, I get the door open, I get the car because the car is still in drive. So because the car's still in drive, the doors won't unlock.
Right. Right.
So I had to literally hop over this elderly woman,
You're a
put the
big
car in
guy.
drive.
You're
Yeah,
a big guy.
yeah, yeah. So put it in park, get her out, and then they start to intubate her.
Wow.
Um, and when they intubate her, they're starting to pull. It was fruit, strawberries. They were pulling strawberries out of her throat. She, like I said, that's what she was choking on. That's what she did to drive herself in the hospital and everything like that. And I just remember her getting in the EMS. I get there to, try to get her information. The family shows up. They get the update that she's going to be okay. Um, and just the thanking from the family. Her daughter was there, her grandchildren were there. They all thanked us. Me and another officer that were there, they just thanked us nonstop. And tears. They wanted to offer me money, the whole nine. And that probably is one of the probably one of the most. And then maybe about a month from that, I got a life saving award from the city. So
Awesome.
that probably was the best one.
Great, man. That's really
Yeah,
awesome. Stark is actually a true superhero, guys. Look
I
at
I try my best.
that. That's great. How do you personally stay motivated and maintain a sense of purpose in your work? Like we touched on like how like really stressful this job can be, like
Mhm.
all the things that you go through, the challenges you face, the hurdles you've overcome, and things like that. What is it that that kind of experience like you're talking about? And we also touched on this a little bit too, but I want to get a little bit deeper into it. Is that what keeps you going every day? That kind of situation where you can
Um,
actually see the
I would
result.
say that in addition to just longevity. I've been doing this a long time.
How long have you been
So
doing this now?
it's 9 years now.
Nine
I've been
years.
doing this 9 years.
11 more years,
Um,
right?
yeah, 11 more.
Gotcha.
And we'll gauge it then. But just the longevity of it, doing the job, you get accustomed to it. Get accustomed to doing the job, to being needed, the calls, the type of calls. Um, and then the mentality that I also have is that somebody's got to do it.
Right.
Um, somebody's got to do it. So, why not a guy who's already, halfway through to keep on doing it and showing the newer generation. I don't want to sound old, but I'm in between now. And just showing these guys how to do it right and, uh just enjoying the job. Like I said, it has its own rewards, believe it or not. Like I said, I'm not in it for the money, but like I said, somebody has to do the job. And in addition to that, I try to be a positive influence on other people, my children included.
Absolutely.
So I think that's what motivates me more than anything.
Do you ever threaten to throw your kids in jail if they misbehave?
Uh no, because that's not the fear that I want
Ah,
to
okay, that's good.
bring
That's
upon
good.
my
Good
children.
point. Good point.
And I kind of run into that a lot at work too. The
Yeah.
woman will be like, "Oh, he's going to take you to jail," and I'll say,
Okay.
don't want the children to fear you.
True.
You want them to be the first person you run up to, and the moment they need help. So I try to wean people off of telling their children that that officer's going to take you to jail if you misbehave and everything like that. So I don't think I've done that with my children. I've never had to either.
Okay.
And I just try to kind of I kind of try to wake everybody else up on it, the public at least
Well,
on that.
you probably got that dad look, right? Like that.
Well, yeah, that's what I don't. It didn't take me much with my children. No,
You got that look.
yeah,
That's all it takes, and then
that's all I
it's a
need.
wrap. All right,
Yep.
good. So now we're gonna move into the streaming aspect of this.
Okay.
Being a law enforcement officer and a streamer on top of that, I've only known probably two other guys that have done that.
Hmm.
Does that I mean, you touched on the social media aspect of being, an LEO and things like that. Is
Hmm.
it's not obviously not against the rules to do it,
Right.
but are
No.
you told like, "Hey, if you're gonna do this, blah, blah, blah," or is it like
So there is some like social media policies that they do inflict upon the department, everything like that. But this isn't one of them. If I wanted to combine the two, I could be allowed to. But that's just something I never wanted to do. You got guys like Officer Messer
yes.
and the sheriff. I forget the other guy's an elderly guy.
Okay, I haven't
Those
seen him
guys
yet.
combine gaming with law enforcement.
Right,
And I respect those guys when they do that. But gaming was something that I've been doing since I was a child.
right,
And I kind of want to enjoy you know, what little gaming I can do now because, like I said, I got a family, I have a wife, I have children, so I can't do it as much as I used to before I was married, of course. But I never really wanted to combine the two. I kind of wanted to keep that separate because gaming is how I decompress.
right,
So because I want to decompress, you kind of don't want to take work home with you.
right,
You see a lot in this field. You see it all. There are times where I've hopped on the game and hopped in, and you guys see me playing, and you guys don't even know the type of night I've had, or the day I had before, or the
right.
things that I saw.
Absolutely.
Um, so I kind of just keep that completely separate. My wife will ask me how I was working. I'll just tell her fine. I don't want to break down the specifics of it because I'm going to see it. I'm going to continue to see it. So I come here and I play with you guys. I play with Leo flats and everything like that, and that's my way of decompressing and going on. Making my night a lot smoother. So I've always kept the two separate. But some people who have followed me long enough, and good friends like you and Flats and Leo and everything like that. You guys know what I do.
Yep.
Um, so with that being said, anybody who does have questions are more than welcome, to talk about it with them, or if they have questions about law enforcement or getting in law enforcement. I have no problem. Even like I said, even though my page and my streaming page is not, they're not combined, a vast majority of the people who watch me know what I do.
Right.
So
And
there have been times where I have been streaming and they have asked me, and I'll be glad to tell them.
right.
But as far as streaming and policing, that's just not those two things. I just always want to keep separate.
And I can definitely say, guys, that for the first like year I knew this guy, I didn't even know he was
No
a
one
cop.
knew what I
I
did. Yeah,
didn't
no
even
one knew
know.
what I did.
No one knew it. He kept it
Yeah,
so. I mean, that's a good thing. He
yeah,
stayed true to his guns on that, and
yeah.
he did keep it close to the chest, and it's great.
Hmm.
But even now, I mean, anytime you're live, anytime you're gaming with anybody, there might be a joke here and you're like, "Oh,
Every
arrest
now and again. Oh
listener," and
yeah,
this and
all the
that.
time.
But
Yeah, absolutely.
no one really like brings it up or asks you
No,
anything
yeah,
or
no,
whatever, and stuff like
absolutely.
that. I think everybody kind of knows your boundaries on that.
Absolutely. Well, I mean,
It's
but
things
there's
like
no
that.
real
So
boundary. But like I said, we always joke, and you guys are more than welcome to ask questions or anything like that. I wouldn't say this specifically. There's no boundary, but as far as like you know my page and my streaming page and my job, I just keep the two separate. But I'm more than welcome to talk about it anytime you guys
okay.
have any questions at any time.
Well, I mean,
People ask me for legal advice literally all the time. So
really.
I have no problem answering it.
Stark will represent me in the next situation.
Yeah, okay, I got you.
So as a streamer, I mean, I asked Leo these questions when he was getting started. I know you don't stream
Mhm.
as much as you used to, but you still do.
Right, right, still do.
So, like, these questions might be similar, but you might answer
Okay,
them differently because everyone has a different
okay,
experience with this.
okay.
What are some of the challenges you've had being a streamer, like up and coming, like not just with chat, not just with the technical side of it,
Mhm.
like any kind of psychological. Just you can touch on any of those areas if they come out at you. Like what? Like
Um,
okay, I remember this moment.
over time, I think the biggest challenge is just being consistent.
Right.
That's something that I've struggled with, especially like the past year. But that's because I've had a lot of life changes.
Yes.
I still have there's a lot that I have planned. There's a lot in store that not a lot of people who follow my page are knowing what's going on right now. My inner circle versus you and the entire GVT chat. You guys know what's going on. You guys know what I'm doing, and
Right.
what I have upcoming. So this is something that I still very much have a passion for. That like I said, right now I haven't spoken a lot of, so my community doesn't really know.
Okay.
So
I mean, I see that
I was
room behind you.
yeah. Well, this isn't the room though.
This
This
ain't the
isn't the
room.
room. No, this is not the room.
Oh
This is
man.
so when I moved into the house in July, this was the area that I was like, okay, I'm going to start here. So I painted it, and I did an accent wall. I hung a Govia up behind me. This was the area. But being married, my wife, kind of brought all of her
Yeah,
stuff.
she moved in. She moved
It's
into your
just like,
area.
oh yeah,
Okay.
I'll come over here and then start because she works from home sometimes.
Okay.
So I had built her a standing desk, so and then she kind of like took over the area. So I was like, okay, well, I've always wanted a streaming room, and I says, well, this old storage room, I says, I think I'm gonna clear everything out
Right.
and build the room, and that's what I was doing for the past 6 weeks, 6 7 weeks, and now that that's done, and that's moving ready, so I'm gonna pack up my stuff, and she can have this old area and do what she wants to do with it. And then I'll finally get everything how I truly want it.
Right.
So that's big and upcoming. So I really can't wait. There's a massive overhaul coming for my channel, and a lot of people are gonna like it. And then I'll be able to sit down and be more consistent, and then even bring some daytime streams too. So
Awesome.
a
Well,
lot looking forward
definitely
to it.
look.
But like
We look forward to that too.
absolutely. So, but I would say the massive the only I would say the biggest issue was just me trying to be consistent. But like I said, I had the last year I've had some severe life changes like out of nowhere. I'm moving into a house, getting married, the whole nine. That was out of nowhere. A year ago today, I was, a single dad, me and my oldest boy, and we were, living in a nice apartment, decent sized apartment, and that's where I was doing my streaming from.
Okay.
And then I met my wife, and that kind of all changed, and it kind of fast tracked. So trying to do all of that, be a homeowner. Was all within a year, planning a wedding, just doing all of that,
Like, it
within a
just didn't
year.
stop.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I saw some of
So
the pictures of you building that room. That's why I got
yeah,
thrown off because the color
yeah.
scheme is the same, right? It's gray and
Yeah,
white.
it was
Yeah.
a different gray, but
Okay.
it's a lighter gray, but that's the color I
It's
ultimately
50 Shades
decided
of
to go
Grey,
with.
guys. He's got a 50
And
Shades of Grey room.
and that's
Yeah.
funny that you mentioned that, with my basement and the upstairs, there's a lot of different shades of gray. So I always call the house 50 Shades of Gray,
And it's in his basement.
just to poke at my wife because my wife loves gray, so she's
Okay.
painting all these rooms gray, and I was like, this house is 50 Shades of Gray. So it's funny that you mentioned that.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's great.
yeah.
So, how long have you been a streamer?
I have been a streamer since I want to say 2020.
2020.
I want to say around COVID, maybe a little
Okay.
bit before. I want to maybe 2019. No, it was 2020. It was 2020.
Okay. So you're
Um,
banking around 3 years almost, right?
almost 3 years.
Okay.
It was something I thought about it. Um, I want to say what got me into it was probably Leo. Before Leo, I used to watch Filthy Saint and Unreal 84. Those guys I watched pretty hard. I used to watch them, watch their gameplay and everything like that. But in not just in addition to, I watched a few other streamers too. And I used to watch a lot of content creators, and they were very rude.
Okay.
Very rude. They didn't pay attention to their chat. And me included, when I would try to comment, and they would never read it. And I get it. A certain streamers have a lot of people in there. It's kind of hard
Right.
to multitask, playing the game and reading the chat at the same time. But I always swore that I could do it. I think that's maybe because my job has a certain part to do with it, my ability to multitask. But in addition to that, there were some content creators who were just rude, and that kind of motivated me to kind of do it on my own, because I was like, if I do it, I would never be as rude as I see these guys. Where I would always be able to multitask or pay attention and kind of put the community first versus the gaming. Um, so that kind of got me motivated and kind of got me started, just wanting to be a different kind of content creator, like a community first content creator.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
that's just your personality. That's probably why you're such a good law enforcement
Right.
officer.
Yeah.
Because you instill the same thing, those
Right. At work.
values in
Yep.
streaming and things like that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it kind of came hand in hand.
So, what advice would you give an aspiring streamer that wanted to break into this whole field of streaming?
Prioritize your community.
Mhm.
I think that would be my advice. Definitely prioritize your community. Good audio.
Oh God,
Good audio, good audio, good visual. I want to see
absolutely.
what you're playing. You gotta kind of put your eyes and or your mind in the view of the
Mhm.
viewer.
Right.
How they see it. If you got a bunch of stuff around and everything like that, would you want to see it if you were watching a content creator and
Mhm.
everything like that? You kind of got to put your mind into their mind. Um, so that would be my definitely my advice as any type of upcoming content creator.
What about reinvesting in your stream?
Reinvesting definitely. Like I said, I think that's what, like I said, always put your community first,
Right.
and that kind of what that bounces off of, and that in and of itself is its own reward. So I think definitely reinvesting, in the community. Like I said, the community first. Put your community
Absolutely.
first. Absolutely.
100%. They're the ones that watch you. You're the reason why
Absolutely.
they're there. They're there because of you,
Absolutely. I agree.
and vice
100%.
versa. So,
Mhm.
you know, not trying to take away from Stark's interview here, but if you're not putting in what you're getting out of it, I feel like you're doing a disservice to viewers. You know what I
Yep.
mean?
Agreed. I
So
agree.
whether it
100%.
be equipment, we both got Shure SMB7s. Yeah, they're very,
Mhm.
very expensive mics, but
Absolutely.
it took
It's
us
not what I
3 years
started
to
with.
get. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
exactly.
yeah, exactly. I didn't
It
start
started
with
out
this.
with yeah,
I had a HyperX Quadcast.
exactly.
That's what my first mic was. So I didn't have an audio interface. I didn't have
Right.
the Asus monitor. I didn't have the good capture card, the internal capture card,
Mhm.
the new PC. None of
Right.
that I had when I first started. I wasn't even close.
And it never stops. It
No, it does
never
not.
it never
No,
stops.
it never stops. I agree.
So that's just another way. If you are producing better video, better audio,
Hmm.
that's just better for the
Absolutely.
viewer. That's a better experience for them.
Absolutely.
In addition to any kind of
Absolutely.
giveaways, raffles, and things like that,
Hmm.
that's just icing on the cake.
Agreed.
It's the same thing, guys.
Absolutely.
You don't go into law enforcement for the money, and you definitely go into streaming for the money. You definitely,
No, no, you
it,
can't.
it's
You can't go in
not
it
what
for
you
the
do.
money either.
It's not the right
It's
attitude.
very no, not at all.
So usually at the end of the interview, what I like to do is
Mhm.
I like to give the guest the floor. If
Okay.
they want to add to any of the subjects that we touched on, topics and things like that, they have free reign for as long as they want. So if there's just pretend as someone's watching, you want to tell them something, whatever you want to do, man.
Uh, I think we kind of touched on everything, but if there was anything I would include, I would just say that, for the first responders and stuff you see, you give them a chance, and not stay off of the internet, stay off of Twitter, stop thinking that everybody you see or every video you see on there, that's how they all are. If I could pass out any message, it would be that, you know,
Okay.
we it is a thankless job and we're not expecting thank yous, but like I said, don't give them a hard time. Hold yourself accountable or, your friends accountable or anybody you see who's out doing wrong. There are a lot of people who are defending these individuals when they come in contact with law enforcement. And that's not what you need to be doing. Hold your individuals accountable, hold yourself accountable. Um, like I said, there are a lot of men and women in blue who are doing a lot of good, and that's all they come into work every day to do. So you kind of have to, have that mentality, change your mindset of how you view law enforcement. So if I could pass on any message, it would be that.
Awesome. Well, I mean, this has been the third best interview I've ever had on
Appreciate
StreamerGenics.
it.
I'm gonna keep saying
Yeah.
that until I got like this is the 50th best interview I've ever had. Hopefully, it
Yeah.
keeps going that long.
Yeah, I hope so. And I'd love to come back anytime you need me back. I'll be more than happy to.
Absolutely, sir. Where
Yeah.
can people find you online, sir?
You can find me online at fb.gg/Stark89.
Stark89.
That's where I am primarily. I'm thinking about reaching out to TikTok. I'm not 100% sure I'm going to do it yet, but
Okay.
primarily you can find me on Facebook Gaming at Stark89. And then also we had just started our channel on Kick as well,
Okay.
on Stark89 on Kick. So we're going to start streaming there a lot more too. So between those two platforms right now, and as far as like TikTok, that's kind of to be determined.
Okay. 10-4 on that.
All righty.
Sounds good. Well, Stark, I
Absolutely.
want to thank you for being here and
Thank you for having
letting
me.
me ask you these questions. It's been a
Sure.
phenomenal interview. I learned a lot.
Absolutely.
I found out what it's like.
Yeah.
So I
I'm
mean,
glad to help.
if I can, the viewers definitely can. So I really
Yeah.
appreciate you, sir. Thank you so
I
much for your
appreciate you for having me,
service and
brother.
everything that you do.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me again.